WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I'm in Ireland. To be exact, I'm at the Halfpenny Irish whiskey. Halfpenny is a half penny, and there's actually a bridge in Dublin built 1819 that was the name giver for this whiskey. It connects South and North Dublin together. Up until 1819, there were actually 7 ferries that went back and forth, and it cost a half a penny. And that's why it's a halfpenny bridge. Whiskey base number 18679. And this was a whiskey which actually just suddenly appeared on the shelves without a lot of ta-dam! Often there's a press conference, there's a lot of different press releases. Nothing. It just suddenly appeared on the shelf in Ireland and here in Germany now, and very, very little information. So the first thing that surprised me was his Pearse Lyons. Dr. Pearse Lyons passed away 2018. My wife and I, we were there in the summer of 2018. We visited the Distillery, beautiful, beautiful cathedral that's been turned and converted into a distillery, fantastic. And before the pot stills were in the church, they were a little bit off-site and they had produced some whiskey. So this is actually considered the first creation here of Conor Ryan, the master blender now of Pearse Lyons. And it's 43%, hopefully non-chilled filtered. I read it was. And here in Germany, I'm paying 34 euros for, let's say, about $45. Now, the interesting thing is, first of all, I love the label. I don't know why, but up here you do have the halfpenny bridge. Down here you have also the emblem of the bridge. It says here, bringing people together since 1918, and very, very nice. Even here, the 70 CLs and the 43%, great fonts, and also just the feeling of the label as well as the cutting edge. It's not sharp, it's actually almost if it's ripped. Very, very well done with that. Little thing, a little watermark in there, just fantastic. I like that. Now, it says here, very rightfully so, 4 times casked. And there's a nice little seal here. It feels like rubber, and it's really, really nice. So it says here we have port pipe malt as a single malt, actually distilled in those 2 pot stills from the Pearse Lyons Distillery. We have here sherry butts where single grain was in there. They bought that grain. Then we have a bourbon barrel that was actually sent from Town Branch in Lexington, Kentucky, and brought over then to Ireland and filled. And they have a double charred, which means they took an old bourbon barrel and recharged it after it had been used so often. They rejuvenated it. Now, 38% single malt and 62% source single grain. And so this is actually an interesting combination of the 2 worlds. Now, what I like to do is to actually compare whiskeys with each other, and I thought it would be only fair to compare it to another new kid on the block in Ireland, and that is Clonakilty, down in the south. They actually have their warehouse up. They might actually have their distillery up by the time you watch this, in the summer of 2019. And Julia Nonnet, the nose was there, and she actually created this whiskey with them, put in very fresh port pipes. The first batch was so dark it almost looked purple. Now they're at exactly the right color. It's a little bit of a peach type of red color, so the port influence is really, really evident here. And over here we have the port, we have the sherry, we have the bourbon casks, Town Branch, and we have the double charred bourbon cask where the single grain was in there. So let's just try them. We have 43.6 and we have 43%, so almost the same. Now, working on the nose over here, I have a lemon custard. You have the lemon over here. We actually have a yogurt that is a lemon flavored yogurt, and you get that lemon type of tarty sour moment, as well as that yogurt type of milk acidy moment together. That doesn't sound great, and actually it's not wonderful. It's a very strong nose. It's almost overpowering, to be honest. Very fresh, very citrus, very, 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 very... I'm not going to say the word creamy, but it's almost hot. Perfumey. I love the Pearse Lyons 5-year-old cask strength. I really, really enjoyed that a lot, especially how they had done that, especially the new bottles. Excellent, beautiful bottles. I was really surprised that this was from Pearse Lyons because they didn't present it as a Pearse Lyons product. They just presented it as a halfpenny. And so I bought it because it was on sale at my favorite Irish whiskey online shop, and I don't actually regret it yet. Let's try it. It smells so young. I like paddy, but this is so much young grain. I was told, I read that it's between 4-year-old, the single malts, and the 10-year-old, up to 10-year-old single grain, but I'm starting to doubt that a little bit, to be honest. Wow, it's hot. Excuse me for a second. You get a Kentucky hug going all the way down, and it's not even cask or barrel proof. Earlier this evening, I did a live stream with a buddy of mine, and we had 50% and 55% ABVs, and they were fabulously smooth. This is 43%, and it's just ripping a little bit of a passage down my esophagus. Okay, so let's move over here. I always need to pronounce it correctly. Clonakilty. It's actually in the name of the village, or the little town there. They have a beautiful warehouse, really. On the side, there's the side of the cliffs and the warehouse up there, and they do get a little bit of spray, and it's a beautiful place. And they're going to make their own distillery as well. Excellent, excellent stuff. And this is actually so much better. Smooth, elegant, deeper, and the port fruitiness at the end. Those raspberries just kick in and just give it a wonderful, wonderful taste. This is how whiskey should be. This is not how whiskey should be. I like Paddy, and Paddy isn't as hot as this is. I like Jameson, and Jameson isn't as hot as this is. This has a little bit of a hammer effect in there. So what I didn't do in my German video, which I'm going to now do in my English video, is actually put a little water in this and see what's going to happen. It's 43%. So my famous 5 drops here. Let's see if it opens up or if it even kills it some more. Fruity, citrus, even nail polish, and also a little bit of furniture polish. I'm getting a very, very light butterscotch, not a deep, dark, rich butterscotch, a very, very light butterscotch. I'm sure people like this. I'm just not really keen on it. Those 5 drops of water helped tame it somewhat. The burn isn't as bad as it was. There's some barrel in there. Now, I do think they have the right idea. Bushmill, 16-year-old. You have your port, you have your sherry, you have your bourbon all mixed together. They're trying to do not exactly the same, but something similar. They just have way too much grain in here, and they're using way too young single malt. Now imagine you had 8-year-old single malt, you had 10-year-old single grain, and then you did this. Wow, that could be really, really awesome. That could be amazing. So I think Connor Ryan has the correct idea. Unfortunately, he's stuck with using the fresh off the stills 4-year-old single malt that they produced off-site. And somehow it's just not there where it should be yet. All right, so I'm going to give it a C minus, value for money, a D, even though it's only the 4 euros to $45. All right, WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Both of these are fairly rare. If you ever have the chance, take a look for that. If you do have the chance, try a sample, but don't buy the bottle. This is WhiskyJason. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, my videos come out. Thank you very much for liking. Tell others, subscribe, and bye-bye.